Is it that you spend the days waiting for something extraordinary to happen, a turn of the key that changes everything? And if this wait is, in fact, the biggest barrier to the success that you so much seek? The uncomfortable truth is that the extraordinary is not a random event. It is a calculated consequence. Before we dive into the precision of this formula, if this idea has already provoked you, like this video and subscribe to the channel. What we will share can redefine the architecture of your reality. A voice resonated through the waves of American radio in the mid-20th century, calm and deep, delivering what he called the strangest secret. It was Earl Nightingale, a man forged in the Great Depression, who survived Pearl Harbor and dedicated his life to deciphering why some prosper while so many others only survive adrift. He did not offer cheap mysticism or empty positive thinking. He offered a law as implacable and predictable as that of gravity. We become that in which we think most of the time. Think of this not as magic, but as the purest mechanics of the mind and of human action. Just as a farmer does not harvest wheat if he planted weeds, you will not harvest fulfillment and prosperity if your dominant thoughts are of scarcity, fear, or doubt. Nightingale argued that the human mind is the most fertile terrain that exists, but left to chance, it will produce weeds. It takes a deliberate planting, a conscious cultivation of thoughts aligned with a defined purpose. Success, therefore, would not be a matter of luck, birth, or even of isolated raw talent, but rather of clarity of objective and of the mental discipline to maintain focus on this objective day after day, nurturing it with belief and positive expectation. However, look around. We live in the era of programmed distraction, an incessant bombardment of irrelevant information, notifications that hijack our attention, and a culture that glorifies instant reaction to the detriment of deep reflection. We are encouraged to consume passively, to react emotionally to each external stimulus, losing the ability to direct our own focus, to deliberately choose where our mental energy will be invested. The noise of the world muffles the voice of our own intention. And it is here that resides the silent conflict that perhaps you feel throbbing inside there. A part of you yearns for more, for control, for meaning, for tangible results that reflect your potential. You read, watch, perhaps even try to apply some techniques, but the inertia of habit, the subtle fear of failure, or who knows, of success itself, and the responsibility that it brings, pull you back to the familiar comfort zone, to the cycle of thoughts that perpetuates the current reality. Doubt whispers, is it that this really works for me? Isn't it too simplistic? The conceptual turn is not in discovering an arcane secret, but in accepting the brutal and liberating simplicity of Nightingale's proposal. The rudder of your life is in your capacity to control your predominant thoughts. It is not about repressing negativity, but about actively choosing the focus. Success is not an indecipherable mystery. It is the logical result of a specific cause. Clear and consistent thoughts, transformed into persistent actions in the direction of a well-defined objective. The formula is not complex, but it demands a radical decision, that of assuming sovereignty over your own mind. This idea, echoed by Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and contemporary psychologists like Carol Dweck, leads us to a deeper understanding of the architecture of our own psyche. Modern neuroscience illuminates this path, revealing the plasticity of our brain. Each thought that we cultivate, each mental pattern that we reinforce, physically shapes the connections between our neurons. It is like treading a path in the forest. The more you traverse it, the clearer and more defined it becomes. Repeated thoughts create robust neural paths, which in turn facilitate the recurrence of these same thoughts in the future. This is the principle of neuroplasticity in action, demonstrating that we are, literally, the architects of our own brain. Imagine your mind as a vast and exuberant garden. In it, grow both vibrant flowers and invasive weeds. The flowers represent your constructive thoughts, your aspirations, your belief in unlimited potential. The weeds symbolize the doubts, the fears, the paralyzing self-criticism, the pessimism that obscures the vision. If you neglect the garden, the weeds inevitably suffocate the flowers, competing for light, water, and nutrients. In the same way, if you allow negative thoughts to dominate your mental landscape, they consume your energy, undermine your motivation, and prevent the blossoming of your true potential. Nightingale's proposal, then, is an invitation to become the conscious gardener of your own mind. It is a call to deliberately cultivate the flowers of positive and productive thoughts while diligently removing the weeds of negativity and self-limitation. It is not about an easy battle or an instant victory. Just like in gardening, it requires constant attention, daily care, and the patience to deal with the natural cycles of growth and challenges. There will be sunny days and rainy days, moments of abundant flowering and seasons of apparent stagnation. But the key resides in the constancy of your purpose, in the fidelity to your objective of cultivating a prosperous and abundant mental garden. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, a tireless inventor who personified Nightingale's philosophy long before it was articulated. Edison failed thousands of times in his search for the functional incandescent light bulb. Thousands of attempts that for many would be reason for giving up, for reinforcing the belief in one's own incapacity. But Edison saw each failure not as a setback, but as a learning, as one more step in the direction of the solution. His mind was fixed on the final objective, illuminating the world with electric light, and this vision fueled his unwavering persistence. He did not allow setbacks to divert him from his path. He did not let the doubts of others or his own insecurities obscure his faith in possibility. Edison chose to nurture thoughts of determination, learning, and positive expectation, transforming what many would see as failure into fuel for success. His story is not just an inspiring tale, but a practical demonstration of the power of the focused mind, of the application of Nightingale's law in its purest form. Think about your own dreams, about those projects that you cherish in the bottom of your heart, but that perhaps seem distant, almost unattainable. What separates them from your present reality? Often, it is not the lack of innate talent or of external opportunities, but rather the fog of limiting thoughts that obscures your vision and paralyzes your action. The fear of judgment, the insecurity regarding your capacity, the worry about what others will think, the belief that it is not for you or that it is too difficult. These are the weeds that suffocate your dreams, that prevent the seed of your potential from germinating and blossoming. The transformation begins in the moment in which you decide, consciously, to assume control of this mental garden. It is the instant in which you recognize that your thoughts are not just passing events in your consciousness, but active forces that shape your reality. It is the decision to become the conductor of your mental orchestra, choosing which instruments will play, which melodies will be performed, which symphony will be created. This process is not magical, but rather alchemical. It requires the transmutation of doubt into belief, of fear into courage, of passivity into action. It is a continuous internal work, a daily exercise of mindfulness about the flow of your thoughts. Observe them without judgment. Question those that limit you. Strengthen those that propel you. Imagine yourself from here to 1 year, to 5 years, living the life that you genuinely desire. What type of person have you become? Which achievements have you celebrated? Which challenges have you overcome? This vision of the desired future is not a distant fantasy, but a beacon that can guide your steps in the present. By keeping this image alive and vibrant in your mind, you are planting the seed of a clear objective, nurturing it with the water of your belief and the light of your constant action. Remember the words of the philosopher Seneca: It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they become difficult. The difficulty often resides not in the task itself, but in the mental barrier that we erect before it. By choosing to focus on the objective instead of the obstacle, you change your perception, alter your energy, and mobilize the internal resources necessary to overcome any challenge. The journey to predictable success, to the extraordinary life that resides within the ordinary, begins with a single step: the decision to cultivate the mind as the most precious garden that you possess. Water it with thoughts of hope, faith, and purpose. Remove the weeds of doubt and fear, and observe with admiration and gratitude the constant blossoming of your unlimited potential. Which seed will you choose to plant in your mental garden today? Leave your answer in the comments, and let's together cultivate an extraordinary future. And if this video inspired you to rethink the power of your thoughts, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that we can continue exploring together the paths of personal transformation.